Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Schlueter, and today we're going to be talking about the customer service with service management and customer service with request management plugins. We're going to start out with the customer service with service management plugin. That is the integration between cases and incidents, problems, and changes. Then we'll do a quick demo to see what that looks like. Then we'll move on to the customer service with request management plugin. Very similar to the service management plugin, just it only covers requests. And then I'll show you what that looks like as well. And then I will go ahead and show you what we could do to get this set up and some other additional configurations. And then if we have any questions, we can take a look at that at the end. So starting off here with the customer service with service management plugin, as I said, that's how we integrate cases with incidents, problems, and changes. For all three tasks, it gives the customer service agent the ability to either create tasks or associate open tasks with the case they're working. And then it will update the case as those tasks are being worked. So starting here with incident management, the customer service agent will be able to go to the additional actions menu item. They'll be able to click create incident, or they'll be able to go to the incident field on the case and associate an existing open incident. If they create the incident from the case, the fields here are what will be pushed through. The short description, urgency, CI, those are kind of standard across all task types. For instance, specifically, the contact will be set as the caller on the incident. And then also new with this plugin is the related records tab on the case. And that's where the reference to any incident, problem, or change that you associate will show up there. If you have any other problem or change already associated with the case, that will be mapped to those same fields on the incident record, also under the related records tab. And then as the fulfiller works on the incident, as the incident state changes, that will be noted automatically in the case work notes. If the fulfiller adds any additional comments to the incident, those will also get pushed to the case work notes. And then if the incident is put on hold, the on hold reason will also be noted in the case work notes, and we'll look more at that in the demo. Problem management is similar to incident management and how they're created. You can use the create problem UI action, or you can associate an existing problem. Upon creation, you get those same kind of standard fields, but then what's slightly different is the case will be put into the first reported by field on the problem, and the account from the case will be put in the company field on the problem. And similar to incidents, anytime the state changes, that will be noted in the case work notes. The work note updates are a little more involved with problems. There's a couple more things that can trigger that. So on the problem, there's the communicate workaround UI action and the communicate fix UI action. When the workaround UI action is clicked, the text in the workaround field will be pushed to the case work notes. And if communicate fix is clicked, then the text from the fix field on the problem will get pushed to the case work notes. There's also a couple different ways that a problem can be closed out, and that will change what information gets pushed to the case. So if it's canceled, the cancellation reason will get pushed to the case work notes. If the risk is accepted, then the cause and fix notes will be pushed to the case work notes, as well as the risk accepted reason. If the fix is applied, then just the cause and fix notes will be copied to the work notes. And I have an example of that in the demo as well. And then change is similar in that you can associate an existing change to a case, but then there's two UI action options. There's the create normal change and create standard change. Create normal change works like it does with incident and problems. It grabs with certain information from the case and it populates it in the change that's newly created automatically. However, if you create a standard change, that will link you to your standard change templates, and all of the data will be pulled from the template only. It will not pull specific information from the case besides the actual reference to the case, so that as the change is being worked, whether it's normal or standard, the work notes will still be updated on the case as that change is worked through. So similar to incident, it's when the state or type of the change changes, that'll get pushed to the work notes. Any additional comments added by the fulfiller will be pushed to the case work notes. And then when the change is put on hold or that on hold status is removed, the casework notes will show that as well. And so I will show you here just what that looks like from the customer's perspective, kind of what they see as this is all going through, as well as the fulfiller. So here I'm going to submit a simple case. As soon as that loads, here we go. We'll say issue software after update. This should redirect us to that ticket view. So then from the fulfiller side, we'll take a look at that case here. We'll see what's new here is that related records tab that I mentioned. If I know that there's an active incident, I could come in here and associate that. Again, it would have any of these require the issues to actually be active. We'll say for the sake of this demo that I know that there was a change potentially that caused this, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and come up here either by right-clicking this header or going to the additional actions, and I'll create an incident. So incidents created, the contact is set as the caller. Whoever this would be assigned to could work it as usual. For this case, I'm just going to continue to be the admin here, but I'll say we'll move this to work in progress. And we'll say looking into issue, update that. And we'll see on the case that a work note was added and that the state has changed. And you'll notice for all of these updates, they are going in as work notes, right? So the customer isn't seeing any of these changes taking place. It would be up to the agent to be communicating what's necessary. I think it's reasonable to assume that some of our engineers and admins do not have the same smooth edges that our customer service agents would have. And so any updates that they're making here can be, translated into customer speak by the agents. And so we'll go back to that incident, and the agent would be able to read this as well with the proper roles. We'll go over that at the end as well. So let's say the fulfiller is all good, closed out. Actually, we'll do that the proper way. We'll resolve it. So here the agent would be able to see that it's been resolved, that the fix is provided. So it'd be up to the agent to come in here, propose a solution to the customer. And with this plugin comes a couple new resolution codes. You'll see resolution codes related to problems being solved, change requests being closed, incidents being closed, and requests being closed. Fixed by closing the related incident, propose a solution, and then from there, it's just acting as a standard case. And then it would be up to the customer to accept that solution. So it's going to behave similarly for changes and problems. I have a couple that I submitted already, so we can just take a look at the notes there rather than having to bounce back and forth. So here, a change is already associated. Oh, and another important thing is once a record is already associated, whether it's incident, problem, or change, the UI action will disappear. So here, create normal and create standard change isn't an option anymore. If incident was populated, that create incident would also be no longer available. And if you dissociate the record, then that UI action would be available again. So here for the change, we'll see that it was associated, a comment's added. As the states moved, the timing for the change would be communicated as well. This was empty, so it's just showing the time zone, but those fields will automatically be communicated as well. Same thing with the change being put on hold. The on hold reason is also communicated. And again, this would be on the agent to communicate this with the customer. And then we'll take a look at one that's been linked with a problem. we'll see that the change in incident actions are here now, and problem is removed since a problem is already associated. And you'll see that if a task is associated, whether it's by creating the task or by picking an open task, that'll be noted. And if you remove the task, it will note that as well. But here you can see for the problem, any state changes are communicated. I did do that communicate workaround on the problem, and it pulled the information from there. More state changes, and then here I did fix the problem, right? And so it'll show the how it was resolved, and then it pulls in those cause and fix notes. And that's pretty much it for the service management plugin. We're gonna move on to the customer service with request management plugin. It is very similar to the service management plugin, just it only integrates cases with requests. Similar to how that works with instance problems and changes, the agent can create a request from an existing case. That create request doesn't just create a request record, right? It would link you to the service catalog. What's new here is that what's different than the service management plugin is that the customer will be able to directly submit a request from their service catalog. So they don't have to submit a case first and then have the agent on their behalf. Their request can be submitted by them. Not a lot of information is passed through, just a short description. There is a variable set that's included with this plugin that you can add to your catalog items that will allow the customer to enter their name and then the account they're associated with. And then just the request state changes, and then any additional comments added to the request item will be pushed to the work notes of the case. And I'll show you what that looks like here as well. So similar to how we submit a case, the plugin allows us to add request catalog items to their service catalog. And here I can, as the customer, submit a request directly. When a customer does submit a request, though, a case is automatically generated. And again, that's what they will see on their end. So just like we did with a normal case, a get link to this case view. The only difference here is there is a initiated as request true or false field that is set to true, and that's how you can differentiate kind of on the back end which cases were created as a request originally. And there's also a list option to kind of see these. So I can see my requests versus, all my other cases. And we'll click back into that guy. And from the fulfiller's perspective, it's just like you'd work any requests. Request comes in, the request item is created. We'll say, hey, work is in progress here. Similar to the other task types, this information goes in as a work note on the case. So it's up to the agent to communicate this update to the submitter. And then just for the sake of the demo, we'll get this closed out here. Then we'll take a look at the case on our end. You also note that the state isn't changing, right? There's no actual changes outside of the work notes being made to these related cases. So we'll see that work was in progress. Now it's closed, and it would be up to whatever agent is working this to communicate all this to the submitter. Now we'll go over how to get this set up and additional configurations that can be made. The setup is pretty straightforward. There's just the two plugins. You have to make sure that you have the customer service application already installed, right? But there's just the customer service with service management plugin. There's customer service with request management plugin. If you don't want people to be submitting requests or working with that, you can just choose the service management plugin or vice versa. There's no new roles added either with these plugins. All the roles already come with the incident management application. right? So there's the task-specific write and read roles. The write roles allow the agents to create the tasks, and then the read roles will allow the agents to actually view the tasks if they're associated with a case. If you want to change which fields map automatically between a case and the newly created task, that's handled through scripted extension points. Those extension points call script includes that are listed here. Your platform admin would need to go in, and you can either use it just to add new features, the logic as to when certain fields are mapped, or maybe you can do some dynamic work around dates, whatever would fit your needs. But it does include, or it does require scripting if you want to do it with anything outside of a business rule or something like that. And then there is also a way to allow for external approvals. So if you have a request that your customers can submit, but maybe you have a partner that owns part of the process and they need to approve those kind of requests, then you can add those partners or whoever to an approval group, just like you would otherwise. And then you need to make sure that you have the ACLs to allow approval on the change or request records for any user with the SN ESM user role. That role is what's included with customer admin, partner admin, customer or partner. So any external user, right, that has a role. And then if you want to extend that ability to approve for external users to other tables, that's also handled in the extension point, the global.csm approvals management. And is there any questions?
I have a question. I think it's by intent that the status or state field is not present on the case form. They want us to use the ribbon. It can be made visible, but I think out of the box, I think it's hidden. Is that correct?
That's right. This dev instance I'm showing is fresh out of the box. But yeah, you can absolutely display the state field there.
Would best practice be that the case remains open while the related records like the incident or change or request are open, or do you kind of close it out and then track the work on the related record?
So I would let backend support do their work on the related record, and then I would keep the case open as the agent, so that if there's any, because sometimes there's going to be information needed from the submitter. So if it's something incident related, right, they need like a log or something from the customer, then the agent will be able to keep track of that and communicate that with the customer. And so I'd say as long as the related tasks are open, I would keep that case open for that kind of communication.
Okay, so that's kind of standard rules apply there.
Right.
Across the platform, and it makes sense, right? So any related tickets where the case is indeed the source, or if we want to use the parent, in that case, the case would be the last thing to close once all the related records have been dealt with, etc. That
right.
just
Like
makes sense.
If an incident is big enough that it causes change to be pushed through, then you would want to make sure that change is completely finished, and then you can verify that the change actually fixed the incident right before closing that incident. So yeah, it's the same kind of logic there.
So to that point, then, if there's like, let's say an incident, how incidents auto close after, let's say 7 days, and there's a delay between when the incident was closed and when the case was, put in resolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the protocol there, let's say the issue wasn't resolved, I guess you would have to just create another incident and related to the case, or how would that be handled?
Well, if I think we're saying like if they put the incident resolve, right, and it closes in 3 days, but then the agent doesn't resolve the case until the next day, so it has its 3 days to resolve or whatever the time frame is, and then that incident closes, and then the customer, denies the solution and it reopens the case.
I guess you need to open a new incident in that case.
Yeah, if aren't,
Yeah.
if you're not going to be opening the incident, then you just need to create a new one and I guess re-explain what the problem is. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
you would just lose that initial link to the first incident from the case perspective, at least.
You'd relate the new incident to the one that was recently closed, right? So there's like a connection there, bridge. But yeah, I could see that the
Yeah, there's a
link
parent
would break.
incident field on the incident record that you could use to kind of link it that way if you want to
Yeah.
create that chain.
I was wondering, so like from a process perspective, if I'm in a workshop, what should I be listening to determine, okay, this plugin should be installed versus this plugin, or maybe just go with the out-of-box version of CSM?
If part of their process is that they're getting other teams involved, right? Because it's licensing to give people or it takes licensing to give people the agent role, right? But if you
Mhm.
already have X number of ITIL roles that are being used by the people actually doing the work, and you can just keep whatever your small team of customer facing agents licensed there, then that would be a good way. This is kind of a good way to not get around, but I mean, it's the ServiceNow way to not have to buy all new licenses for the people that will actually be doing the work to resolve these issues.
So in this situation, if you were to have the plugins, you would say the agents would be the ones that are also the, like the support or the service desk, and they wouldn't need to have separate licenses. Maybe I'm not understanding the answer.
Sorry, I guess the agents would still need their CSM licensing, right? But I'm
Mhm.
saying the people with the ITIL role, the person who maybe
Just
the
handle
engineer
like
on the
the
back end
incidents.
who's making changes
Mhm.
to the back end, for them to get visibility into a case, you would be potentially running into licensing issues there. But
Mhm.
with this, now all the necessary information from the case is being pushed to the incident, so they don't need any
Okay.
visibility into anything customer service related.
In the demo, a couple of scenarios where the status changed, and you mentioned that the customer, whoever needed to be notified. How does that notification happen? Is that from a mechanism within ServiceNow, or is it just an email, a phone call? Like, how does that?
So I would say the agent would add the additional comment, because there's the two types of fields, right? Work notes that stay internal and the additional comments, and that goes to the actual submitter. All the updates that are coming from the ITSM task, whether it's incident problem, that's coming into the case as a work note. So only the agent is seeing that update. They would then go in, and if they want to email or call, however they want to handle it, but they could add an additional comment, and then that would be what's visible on the portal view for the customer.